Welcome to another amazing video from our truehistory.co.uk, Anunnaki and the Americas.
First, let's look at what mainstreams say about how humans, and when I say humans, I mean any hominid arrived or evolved in the Americas. Here's mainstream's version. For generations, the story told in classrooms was simple. Humans first arrived in the Americas around 13,000 years ago, following herds of mammoth and bison across a frozen land bridge from Siberia into Alaska. These were the Clovis people, armed with finely crafted spear points, and they were, according to the accepted narrative, the first. But that story, once unshakable, has crumbled under the weight of new discoveries. Humans reached the Americas far earlier than anyone once believed. Evidence now confirms their presence at least 23,000 years ago, deep in what is now New Mexico, where fossilized footprints pressed into ancient lakebed sediment reveal the quiet passage of children, adults, and even dogs across a landscape long since buried beneath time. These were not nomads on the edge of survival. They were people already adapted to a world locked in ice, thriving in places no one thought possible. From there, they spread, not in a single wave, but in multiple pulses, down the Pacific coast, navigating the kelp-rich shoreline from Alaska to Chile, living off marine mammals, shellfish, and seaweed, carrying knowledge as old as the sea itself. Genetic studies have traced the ancestry of every indigenous people in the Western Hemisphere back to a small group isolated in Beringia, a vast ice-free expanse stretching between Siberia and Alaska, during the height of the last glacial maximum. For thousands of years, this population endured in isolation, cut off from both Asia and the Americas by immense glaciers, evolving genetically in quiet solitude until the ice began to retreat. Around 17,000 years ago, as the Laurentide and Cordilleran ice sheets pulled back, two pathways opened, one along the coast where the ocean offered abundant resources and safe passage, and another inland through a narrow corridor between the receding walls of ice. It was down these routes that humanity poured southward, reaching the southern tip of South America within just a few millennia. The arrival of the Clovis culture, once hailed as the first Americans, now appears not as an origin point, but as one chapter in a much longer saga. Their distinctive stone tools appear suddenly across North America around 13,000 years ago, but they are preceded, sometimes by millennia, by older technologies found in sites like Monte Verde in Chile, Cactus Hill in Virginia, and Page Ladson in Florida. Each of these places tells the same story. Human hands shaped tools, lit fires, butchered animals, and gathered plants long before the Clovis point became widespread. The Clovis people were not the pioneers. They were part of a broader, older continuum of adaptation and migration. All of this is corroborated by DNA. The mitochondrial and Y chromosome lineages of modern indigenous populations trace unmistakably to ancient populations in Siberia and Northeast Asia. There is no genetic signature suggesting early arrivals from Europe, Africa, or Oceania prior to 15,000 years ago. The so-called Solutrean hypothesis, that Ice Age Europeans crossed the Atlantic on boats, no Solutrean-style tools have been found in eastern Canada or Greenland, and no European DNA exists in pre-Columbian skeletons. Similarly, claims of Polynesian or Chinese contact before Columbus remain speculative at best, lacking the smoking gun of shared artifacts, crops, or genes. Even the most extraordinary sites, the monumental architecture of Tiwanaku, the precision-cut stones of Pumapunku, the towering mounds of Cahokia, are understood today not as the work of lost civilizations or alien visitors, but as the product of deeply sophisticated indigenous societies who developed their own methods of engineering, astronomy, and social organization over centuries, if not millennia. The people who built them did not come from elsewhere. They emerged from the land itself, descendants of those who walked out of Beringia tens of thousands of years ago. There is no mystery in the origins of the first Americans because the mystery has been solved, not by myth, but by science. They came from Asia. They survived the Ice Age. They sailed the coastlines. They populated 2 continents in less than 5,000 years. And they did it without writing, without metal, without wheels, guided only by the stars, the seasons, and the wisdom passed down from generation to generation. What remains remarkable is not that they arrived so early, but that we ever doubted they could.
I am talking as if the Anunnaki created Homo sapiens. See my other videos. But there were already other hominids here on Earth, such as Neanderthals, Homo erectus, etc. But were any of them in the Americas? Mainstream doesn't think so. That's why they have now given a date of 23,000 years ago. Let's break this down. Here's the part we will look at first. Evidence now confirms their presence at least 23,000 years ago. In September 2021, a team of scientists led by Dr. Matthew Bennett, Bournemouth University, UK, and Dr. Thomas Urban, Cornell University, published a landmark study in the journal Science Advances, demonstrating that human footprints preserved in gypsum-rich lakebed sediment at White Sands National Park date to between 21,000 and 23,000 years ago. These are not impressions in loose sand. They are fossilized tracks embedded in hardened sediment layers, sandwiched between deposits of ancient aquatic plant seeds, Rapia serosa, spiral ditchgrass, which were directly radiocarbon dated using accelerator mass spectrometry, AMS. This method eliminated previous objections that footprints could be misdated due to old carbon contamination or geological disturbance. The seeds grew in situ, right above and below the prints, proving the footprints were made during the same time period. I did do a lot of research, which would be boring to you, about whether it was Homo sapien or Homo sapien sapien, modern man. The conclusion is they both walked the same, except one was smarter, the Homo sapien sapien. But we need to see if this is true. While they give us those dates, remember the date have changed from before, which means they might have other dates they will change to in the future. We know Homo sapiens were created 300,000 years ago. We know Homo sapien sapien was here around 200,000 years later. That makes the modern man here around 100,000 years ago. So, which one of them crossed an ocean? Well, mainstream claims, following herds of mammoth and bison across a frozen land bridge from Siberia into Alaska. We need to see if there were Homo sapiens in Siberia before 23,000 years ago. Mainstream claim they were and use this as their evidence. Homo sapiens were present in Siberia well before 23,000 years ago. The most significant evidence comes from the Yana rhinoceros horn site, Yana RHS, in Arctic Siberia, approximately 500 miles north of the Arctic Circle. Date: approximately 31,000 years old. Radiocarbon dated to approximately 31,600 calendar years before present. But how good is carbon dating? Yana RHS, Siberia, approximately 28,000, BP 31,600 calendar, BP plus 3,600 years. Beta collagen extraction, Monteverde, Chile, approximately 12,500 BP 18,500 calendar, BP plus 6,000 years. Contamination removed. AMS on clean organics. Sechin Bajo, Peru, approximately 3,500 years before present. 5,500 calendar years before present, plus 2,000 years. Dating construction fill reeds, not surface debris. Watson Brake, Louisiana, approximately 3,500. BP 5,400 Cowie BP plus 1,900 years. AMS on sealed short-lived plant matter. Cooper's Ferry, Idaho, approximately 13,000 Cal BP, 16,000 Cal BP plus 3,000 years. Clean hearth samples. No mixing page Ladson, Florida, approximately 12,000. BP 14,550. Cal BP plus 2,550 years. Collagen from tool-embedded mastodon. Bone carol soup, Peru, approximately 4,600 BP, 5,000 Cal BP plus 400 years. Use of seeds instead of reeds. Göbekli Tepe, Turkey, approximately 10,000 years. Before present, 11,600 to 12,000. Calendar years before present, plus 1,600 to 2,000 years. Sampling undisturbed. Fill beneath pillars, Cahokia, Illinois, approximately 800 CE, approximately 650 CE plus 150 years. AMS on post-hole residues, not surface artifacts. White Sands, New Mexico, not dated, dismissed. 21,000 to 23,000 calendar years before present. N, a first valid date. First successful C14 on fossilized seed inlaid footprints.
As you can see, carbon dating isn't 100%. But you are probably thinking, why is he talking about humans? I want to know when the Anunnaki were there. I'm afraid in order to work out when they arrived in America, we need to work out if there were any Homo sapiens that were taken there by the Anunnaki, for their stories are what we can use to learn. But let's get back to mainstream and the Cyber crossing. Was the Americas connected to Africa? Did the Homo sapiens, I'll call them humans from now on, did the humans travel by foot from where we know they were to the Americas? According to geologists, the Americas were last connected to Africa approximately 175 million years ago, long before humans existed. Mainstream claim this. From Africa, they went to the Arabian Peninsula through the Bab el-Mandeb Strait or the Sinai Peninsula. From the Arabian Peninsula, they went to southern Asia, India, and Southeast Asia, following coastlines and river valleys. From southern Asia, they went to Central Asia and Eastern Asia, China, moving inland and northward over generations. From Eastern Asia, they went to Siberia, adapting to the cold climate of the Mammoth Steppe. And because of the Ice Age lowering sea levels, they used the Bering Land Bridge, Beringia, to go from Siberia to Alaska, entering the Americas. If it was all cold, why keep moving? The presence of mammoth remains is a key piece of evidence that helps scientists map the route humans took and understand the environment they were adapting to. Mammoth fossils have been found in every single region along the proposed migration path out of Africa and into the Americas. Their remains literally trace the path of human expansion. The ancestors of mammoths, like Mammuthus africanavus, originated in Africa. This is where the story begins, though these were earlier, less cold-adapted species. I personally struggle with humans branching out from a warm climate to cross some of the coldest places on Earth, because as mainstream claim, they followed the mammoths, but they had mammoths in Africa. Unless they killed every animal in Africa, then there would be no point in moving around. Now remember, this would have been 23,000 years ago or older. If we believe mainstream, then they were hunter-gatherers, not explorers. But because I don't have any evidence to say different, for now I'll go along with mainstream. If humans were in Americas around 23,000, were they smart? This is important because we know Mesoamerica has some amazing buildings which we can't recreate today. There's no evidence of the humans building anything that old. Again, we can't trust mainstream carbon dating, and we can only date organic material, ancient building, unless they have organic material. We can't date them. By looking at the oldest buildings in America, can we work out if it was the Anunnaki that made them? It's a fair question. The oldest seem to be Monte Verde, Chile. A well-preserved settlement dated to approximately 18,500 years ago, showing evidence of wooden structures and a variety of food sources. Because it's wood, they can date it. Maybe not 100% correct dating, but we have a date to work with. Watson Brake, Louisiana, USA. A complex of 11 mounds arranged in an oval pattern, dated to 3,500 BCE, over 5,000 years old. This is the oldest known mound complex in North America. It does seem there were structures built, but nothing that can say the Anunnaki built them. Why would I say that? When you look at the buildings where the Anunnaki were, they are amazing. Pyramids, tombs, aquifers, irrigation, and so much more. But a few mounds in Mercia isn't the Anunnaki style, so we need to look at any building in America that would have been made using advanced technology. Here's a list of buildings that shouldn't have been made by humans with their limited understanding back then. 1. Pumapunku, Tiahuanaco, Bolivia. A highly complex temple platform part of the Tiahuanaco complex, dating to around 500 to 600 AD. The site is Asanluo Ed with massive, intricately cut H-blocks and stone blocks made from andesite and diorite, some of the hardest stones on Earth. The stones are not random. They are cut in complex, interlocking shapes with perfect right angles, precise grooves, and drilled holes that suggest a modular, prefabricated construction system. Some blocks have drill holes that are perfectly cylindrical and consistent, leading to debates about what kind of drill bit and power could achieve this in hard stone. We can theorize they used stone hammers, abrasive sand, and patience. However, the speed, scale, and perfection with which they executed this work with those simple tools remain a subject of great mystery and admiration. 2. Sacsayhuaman, Cusco, Peru. A massive Inca fortress complex overlooking Cusco, built in the 15th century. The most famous feature is its zigzag walls made of enormous limestone boulders. The largest weighs over 100 tons, cut in irregular polygonal shapes and fitted together with insane precision without mortar. The joints between these multi-ton stones are so tight that not even a piece of paper or a razor blade can fit between them. This precision provided incredible seismic resilience. How they quarried, shaped, and transported these massive stones from miles away and then lifted them into place is not fully understood. The Inca had no wheels, no iron, and no draft animals. 3. The precision of Inca masonry throughout Peru, seen in sites like Ollantaytambo and Coricancha, Cusco. A persistent theory suggests the Inca had a method to chemically soften or vitrify the surface of the stone to mold it into shape before it hardened. There is no definitive evidence for this, but the seemingly melted look of some joints fuels the speculation. Laser-like cutting, the precision of the angles, curves, and interior corners on some ritual stones, like the 12-angle stone in Cusco or the Intihuatana ritual stones, appears beyond what should be possible with bronze tools and stone hammers. 4. The Great Pyramid of Cholula, Mexico. The largest pyramid by volume in the world, built over several phases starting around 300 BC by successive Mesoamerican cultures. Its enormity, over 4.45 million cubic meters, is masked because it's mostly earth and is now overgrown, looking like a natural hill. The mystery isn't the how it was built in layers by vast labor forces, but the logistical genius behind its continuous layered construction over centuries by different cultures, each building on top of the last in a coherent way. 5. The Olmec Colossal Heads, San Lorenzo and La Venta, Mexico. Massive stone heads weighing up to 20 tons, carved from solid basalt by the Olmec civilization, circa 1500 to 400 BC. The basalt was quarried from the Tuxtla Mountains, over 50 miles away from the sites. The Olmec had no wheels, no pack animals, and the terrain included rivers and swamps. Stone statues of Zapatera Island, an island in Lake Nicaragua that is essentially a vast, open-air museum and necropolis. It is covered in ancient petroglyphs, rock carvings, and monumental stone statues. The statues, carved from volcanic basalt, are large and stylistically sophisticated. They depict human and animal figures, often seated rulers or warriors, and show a high degree of skill in stone sculpture. The mystery lies in their purpose and the beliefs of the culture that created them, likely a Corotega or related group. lost city complexes, e.g. in the Bosawaz Reserve. There are legends and some ongoing exploration of lost cities in the remote jungles of northern Nicaragua. These are not made of stone, but are likely large earthen platforms and mounds, similar to those found in neighboring Costa Rica and Honduras. If found, the advancement would be in the complex social organization required to build large ceremonial centers in a difficult jungle environment. The engineering knowledge would be in water management and earth moving. We need to see if any of those buildings or structures match any others around the world. This way, we can work out if there's a connection. Name: Americas. Location: Americas. What it matches: location: elsewhere. Stepped pyramids, e.g. Temple of the Sun. Teotihuacan, Mexico ziggurats, stepped temple platforms. Mesopotamia, e.g. Iraq. Precise astronomical alignments: Chaco Canyon, USA. Mayan sites. Megalithic. Astronomical alignments: Stonehenge, England. Nabta Playa, Egypt. The plumed serpent deity, Quetzalcoatl, Kukulkan. Mesoamerica, Mexico, Guatemala. Serpent, feathered serpent deities, e.g. Ningishzida. Mesopotamia, Sumer. Complex mummification practices: Chinchorro culture, Chile. Inca, Peru. Mummification and afterlife beliefs: Ancient Egypt. Monumental stone heads, Olmec civilization. Mexico. Monumental stone heads, Moai. Easter Island, Rapa Nui. Population: Y. Genetic signal: Amazonian. Tribes: genetic link to Australo-Melanesians, indigenous Australians, New Guineans. Are these just coincidences, or did someone see them and copy? Or were they done by the same people, or aliens? There does seem to be advanced structures in Americas, but... And here's where I might change things up a bit. No one else would look at this next bit, but I will. Are you ready? We know the Anunnaki were smart. We know they taught the master builders, humans, to build for them.
Enlil and Ninlil, circa 1.2.1. Enlil spoke to his minister Nuska. Nuska, my minister. At your service. What do you wish? Master builder of the Eker. At your service, my lord.
But was there another smart race on Earth that may have built the structures? And I think I may have solved something that no one even thought needed solving.
Sorry to keep the next amazing part from you. This was a sample of the longer video. It's mind-blowing what has been found out. It will change the way you think of things. Please visit ourtruehistory.uk to watch the full longer documentary. There's thousands of content there covering all type of subjects, from ghosts to crystal skull and so much more. Thanks for watching.